Hornby's Tender Drive Black Five, the next in the budget modelling article. This is not the original, the first Hornby Tender Drive Black Five. You can tell that because it's got more accurate valve gear. The original Tender Drive Hornby Black Five, introduced, many years ago now, had Britannia valve gear to save money. So this is the second manifestation. And it was a very good runner, or is a very good runner. And you can see the ticket on the side is £55. Now, I bought this from Grantham Model Shop, and they gave me a substantial discount on that because I bought several other items at the same time. Anyway, this was the starting point. And the article I wrote in BRM showed all the things that I did. First of all, get rid of the horrible couplings, snip them off with the Zurons, and then cut off the huge, obese, that's tautology, isn't it, lug at the front for the coupling with a piercing saw in the vise, chuck away the original bogie wheels, which are hideous. These are Alan Gibson replacements. Coal it, and you can see it's alongside the A4 tender, which featured earlier, and the King, which will feature. Real coal. Nothing looks more like real coal than real coal, crushed in a bag. Weather the motion. It's a bit coarse, but with weathering, it improves it no end. Now, as luck would have it, I say as luck would have it, it's rather sad. A dear friend, Chris Hawkins, died earlier in 2025, and in finding new homes for his model railway collection, I came across this Black Five body that he'd been working on. Now, purists of Black Fives will know that 44861 didn't have a domeless boiler. So Chris, in his wisdom, even though he wrote books on Black Fives, rather got muddled up. But he'd done a fair bit of work on it, and I decided I would carry it on. I'm sure he'd be happy that his work would be completed. And you can see here the sort of things that he'd done: new buffers, a smokebox door dart, lifting rings for the front end, a new chimney, vacuum ejector pipe, and better handrails. I carved away part of the bottom of the boiler, losing the sandbox fillers, and you can see there the age of the sandbox fillers, Millhome ones, old-fashioned before decimalisation. New steps. I don't know why Chris took off the original steps, and I filled in part of the bottom of the boiler with plastic strips still in white, and then renumbered it to a more correct number, a Chester engine, I believe. I'm a Cestrian. One or two more details, and reintroduced the lining. And then weathered it with enamels, dry brush, thinners, a cotton bud, and luck. And this is the finished product, which I hope belies, at least in part, its origin. And away we go. Tender drive locos, because of their rubber tyres, tend to be incredibly powerful. I can't stand them personally, but this one certainly flew. It's hauling a heavy train, complete with coupling converter van, because I retain the horrible tension lock on the back end, but that no doubt can be changed. Friend Ben Charlton is inspecting its running, making sure all is well. One of the problems with Hornby tender drives is that the back-to-backs tend to be far too tight. But if you look, it's passing the chap, Keith Pearce, who has re-gauged it. It's being inspected by another friend, John Foreman. You'll see the problem with the tight back-to-backs as supplied on an Airfix Castle, which will feature later, but this one runs perfectly. Yeah, I don't like tender drive, but people do. They'll pull a house brick if you've got one spare. And it looks the part. Lamps, no doubt. Essential. Black ones for LMS locomotives. And on this heavy train. So thanks, Keith, for sorting out the back-to-backs. And by the way, he's bought this engine. And proceeds will go to cancer research. Now, in BRM a couple or so years ago, 3 years ago, I took some other Black Fives, more modern Hornby Black Fives, and improved them. And with this in mind, I bought another later Hornby Black Five. This is the 2003 manifestation, so loco drive this time, much, much better. And used it and use it on Little Bytham. It's the loco that was borrowed by Top Shed in the 1950s to test the AWS, and it ran on the East Coast Main Line on Hull to King's Cross fish trains, one of these. And it's a Chester engine, so again, most appropriate. As I say, I much prefer loco drives, but you know, the tender drive one was considerably cheaper than this one. Although, to be fair, this was a budget. It was round about £80, £85, bought from Charlie Petty. So thanks, Charlie. And a very, very nice runner indeed. With current locomotives costing in excess of £200, £250, then it makes sense to investigate buying second-hand. And with a little bit of work, just a touch of weathering, change the number, little bit of detailing. For around £80, £85, you've got this very fine Black Five. And earlier, of course, you saw the tender drive one, which was considerably cheaper. So it's worth it, honestly. You save a fair bit of money, hundreds of pounds in some cases, and it just requires a little bit of work.